Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about the Dungeons & Dragons 2022 movie. The Dungeons & Dragons, the D&D 5e 2022 movie. First of all, why did I say it's the D&D 5e 2020 movie? Trust me, it will be D&D 5e, right? It will have, so what are the additions, right? The first edition was innovation. The second edition was acceleration. The third edition was commercialization. The fourth edition was deceleration. The fifth edition was representation. And you could bet this movie is going to have representation all over it. And it is definitely going to have that woke stamp that D&D very, very strongly is trying to get on the game itself, right? So this will be a D&D 5e 2022 movie. What I want to talk about today specifically is there may be a very distinct, bright, shining ray of hope that is shining down on the D&D 5e 2022 movie. So let's talk about this thing for a reading. What is that ray of hope? Well, it is its release date, okay? So let's talk about the 2022 movie. It is really shaping up. It's real. There's some real people. There are real Hollywood actors attached to this thing. It has a budget of at least $100 million, right? You know what? It could be as low as 75. I don't think it's a dime less than 75. It could be as high as 150 million. It's being done by Paramount. Paramount has a serious incentive to get this right and to not skimp on it. And the reason why is Paramount is struggling, right? They get kicked in the teeth every year by Disney, just like every other movie studio. And they're trying to get a streaming service off the ground, right? The streaming, if you own a streaming service, it's like you stand under a waterfall made of money, right? Like streaming services are just multi-billion-dollar cash engines, right? If you do it right. It is not easy to do it right. But if you can get your streaming service up and running, right? Like Disney has, like Netflix has, right? HBO Max, I don't think they're there yet, right? But there are a lot of people trying, and Paramount is trying. Paramount Plus, a mountain of entertainment, right? So the D&D movie would logically go right there, right? But this is what I'm talking about, okay? The bright, shining ray of hope for the D&D movie that is emerging right now, right? Because there's a lot of things where you're like, oh, it's gonna suck just like it used to. But there's some clues that are starting to emerge that this might work, right? And so, one, there's real money there. There's real Hollywood stars there. There's real motivation for Paramount to get this right, okay? What else is there? This release date is a big, big, big deal, okay? So what is the release date? It is May 27th, 2022, okay? So if that release date sticks, it is perfectly primed. Why? Why would May 27th, 2022 be a big deal? Well, it would be exactly 2 years, right? Actually, it would be 2 years plus 2 months after the pandemic, okay? So it could be one of the first movies out of the gate to fall on a fully vaccinated America, right? To fall on an America that is ready to go put their butts in the seats of movie theaters that have survived, right? Make no mistake, almost certainly a third to half the movie theaters in America will be gone. Will be gone. I've already seen this locally, right? I've seen 2 local theaters shuttered, finished, done, endo, right? So no question, a third to half the movie theaters will be shut, right? But the survivor theaters, right? We could see a huge, huge push, an excitement, a flow of people back into the theaters, the likes of which haven't been seen since the 1980s Batman movie. The 1980s Batman movie was absolutely incredible as far as the flow of people. There were lines around theaters for weeks. For 6 weeks after Batman came out, there were lines around the theaters for Batman, right? For the original Batman, I think it came out in 1988. The one with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, right? Maybe 85, somewhere in there, mid-80s. This could be perfectly timed, right? And it could really help the Dungeons. And make no mistake, the Dungeons and Dragons community could be, if the D&D movie works, the Dungeons and Dragons community within 6 to 12 months could grow by exponents, like 10 times easily. It could grow 100 times larger, like between 10 and 100 times larger. We've seen it, like the Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Marvel. This is the level of IP that it has the possibility of reaching. And having this prime spot where America would be perfectly positioned to go see a big budget, high action adventure film with, the same energy and excitement and lore that the Lord of the Rings movies had, it could be an absolute blockbuster, right? Granted, less theaters, right? But here's the thing. Maybe the tickets are $20 or $30 per person. You might be able to charge it. You really could. I'll tell you right now, I would pay them $100 to see the movie on day one in the theaters. To put my butt in a seat and watch that movie, I pay $100 and count myself lucky, right? And the reality is, we really don't know what's going to happen on the other side of this. We may be in a huge boom by then. It's possible, right? Coming out of the pandemic, America. It's possible, right? I'm not saying these will happen, but I am saying this is possible. And all that is very, very good news for the D&D community. All that's my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think it's possible we could be looking at a huge opportunity for the Dungeons & Dragons community because the movie, the Dungeons & Dragons the D&D 5e 2022 movie could be perfectly timed? What are your thoughts? Do you agree or disagree? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.